those who are watching, please may you give me a thumbs up and a like, and say hello in the comments, just so I can basically know that you can hear me and see me. I know there's quite a few of you watching and signed in, so yeah. Hi there, Lynn, the first one to comment, admin. Hi everybody. Right, so I'm gonna just do all the bits and bobs now, as it's starting to record over there. So if you're watching this and you're new to the group, hi, I'm Becky. Hi. Yeah, royal wave. Yeah, so I like to teach sewing and all that lot, and bag making and stuff like that. So if my eyes keep reverting down here, it's where all your comments and all your questions come in. So don't hesitate to ask. No question is a stupid question, so please do ask. And if I'm going too fast, you don't have to sew along with me, but if you miss something, just ask the question and I'll talk you through what I've basically just done. Also, if I revert back to someone called Michael, that's my husband over there, he operates the cameras for me. So this camera here and this camera up here. So I'm not talking to jabberish and all that lot. So, yeah. And if you are watching after this date on, what's today's date? The 11th? Yeah, the 11th. And yeah. If you're watching on YouTube after the 11th, this is a third party live session on Facebook. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the comments below, and if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you like my videos. And there is more videos on YouTube. Yeah, there's well over 60 now, so yeah, so don't hesitate. Right, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Right, so I'm missing all the highs. I'm so sorry about that, guys. Hope you're all well, and I know it's Remembrance. I was going to say Remembrance Sunday today, but no, I know it's Remembrance Day, isn't it? So for us in the UK. Right, so today we are going to make the fold over classy clutch from the free pattern. So if you haven't got the pattern already, it's over on the website. It's a free download, or there is a small fee to have the printed booklet. So it's called the classy clutch bags, and there is 4 bags on it, but plus there's extra blog posts to go with it as well. So this is the little paper booklet, or you can download the digital pattern. Right, so I'm gonna, what's that one? So essential travel to Heathrow, very quiet.
No, just board the plane, we'll catch up watching another day.
Oh right, enjoy your holiday. I'm hoping you are going on holiday or something. But enjoy your holiday. Or enjoy your flight, safe flight. Yeah, so like I say, any questions, don't hesitate to ask, or even if you just want to have a general chat between yourselves. Hi guys. Let's go. Yes, let's go, Tracy. Right, so can we go to the overhead camera, please, Michael? Thank you very much. Right, so let me just grab the bag. My new display. Right, so today we're making the... No, not today. Michael's telling me what I need to do, and it's not today, Michael. That's on John's show. No, we're doing this one today. What's the picture at the bottom? Me and my husband are having a bit of a domestic. Right, strange whispers from Michael. Right, okay, so we're going to do the fold over clutch today. So when I wrote this pattern for Sewing Quarter, the old TV channel that I used to be on. And basically they gave me a brief. I had to write some patterns using PU, soft PU. So this is a really soft fashion weight PU, and basically they asked me to make it quite affordable and to do several bags in one pattern. Men are never right, Dawn is right. Anyway, so there is going to be a slide that I bring up in a few minutes regarding if you don't want to use PU and if you want to use fabric. So basically in the pattern it says you need a fat quarter, so we're going to go over to the next bag. So if you've not seen the video for this one, it's live on YouTube now, and I will add a link at the end of this demonstration of how to actually find this video, or it's in the group. So we're moving on to the next bag, which is this fold over bag. So it's called the classic fold over bag. So in the what you will need, it says you need a fat quarter of main fabric and a fat quarter of contrast fabric and fat quarter of lining fabric. The lining fabric's fine. So if you're using cotton woven fabric rather than PU, because PU might scare you, but it shouldn't really scare you, you will need to not have a fat quarter, you'll need more. The reason why I've said fat quarter is because when PU, with PU, it's actually width is longer than cotton fabric. So Michael, please may you go over to the cutting out image, please. Okay, so you'll need 28 inches by 20 inches of main outer fabric and 28 inches and 20 inches of contrast fabric. So in the picture, to get the most out of your fabric and how you cut it out, I will put this image into the group afterwards, but if you cut it the way I have actually drawn on the diagram of how to cut, this will leave you with some spare fabric for whatever other projects you want. Or on the contrast fabric, if you are using woven fabric, that bit that's left over can be used as your lining fabric. So it's totally up to you how you go about doing this and how you cut it out, but the best and to get the most out your fabric is to cut it out using this diagram. Okay, thanks Michael. So can we go to the overhead please? Okay, right, so I will put that image up into the group afterwards, so you guys know what you're doing and how to cut it out. Right, so also with the fold over clutch today, I'm not using soft PU, I'm actually using the PU that I used last time, which is a marine weight. It's actually stiffer, but not too stiff. It's very beginner friendly. So if Lisa Lamb is actually watching today, this is actually from Lisa Lamb's shop, and that's a U handbag. If you've never used PU before, my advice is to hop over to Lisa Lamb's shop, uhandbag.com, and basically buy the PU from her. Now that's in the UK, so I don't know about like overseas and stuff like that, but if you are struggling, private message me and I will do some research online for you where the best places is to buy from. Right, so the PU that I'm using is marine weight, and like I showed before, it's actually got a mesh back and there is no stretch to it. There's hardly any resistance on the stretch. Yeah, her PU is fab, Rachel. You are right. Yeah, I must admit I do like Lisa Lamb's PU. Right, so with the cutting out, where it says if you're using Lisa Lamb's PU or a marine weight PU, where it says interfacing, you can eliminate the interfacing full stop. If you're using PU like so from Sewing Street, which is that soft PU, which is on this bag, which is a fashion weight, because it's got a stretch in it, you'll need to interface it to stop the stretch. Okay, so if you are using the fashion weight PU, you'll definitely need to cut the interfacing for the main body. But if you're not using the fashion weight PU and you're using the marine weight PU, you'll don't need to cut interfacing whatsoever. Okay, so in today's show, I'm not going to show you how to make the wristlet, which is this bit, because I showed you that last time. But also, after tonight's video, after tonight's live, there will be a separate video on how to make this wristlet. So you don't have to re-watch the first video. You can just click onto this video and the video that I put on YouTube, and it will teach you how to make the wristlet. And it's a shorter video, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through what you will need. So what you will need is obviously your main outer fabric, whether that's PU or whether it's woven fabric. And you'll need your contrast fabric, which is a large fat quarter, which is 28 inches by 20 inches. And you'll need your lining fabric. You'll also need a number 5 zip. Now, I have got a video on YouTube on the difference between a number 5 and a number 3 zip. Dawn, Dawn, is there any possible chance you can go to... thanks, Lynn. Lynn's sorting it out, Dawn, so don't worry. Yes, bless her cotton socks, she's struggling again. Okay, so on my YouTube channel there is there is a video explaining the difference between all the zips. For this bag I'm using a number 5 zip, and the reason why it's called number 5 is the coil in the centre measures 5mm from one side of the coil to the next. And I'm using a... Right, so it says you need a 12-inch zip, but then it's further cut down to 10.5. Because my zips in my shop are continuous, and you put your own pulls on, I actually only just cut it at 10.5 inches. I'm not wasting that extra 1.5 inches when I can put that on another zip. So, if you're using the fashion weight PU or woven fabric, you'll need the interfacing, but like some my PU, you won't need the woven interfacing. You'll need a 20mm D-ring, and you'll need a swirl clasp, which is for your wristlet if you want to add the wristlet, and you'll need a magnetic snap. And I've just realised that's actually not listed on here. Ooh. Right, so in the what you will need a magnetic snap, and that's a 18mm magnetic snap. And also, if you want to add rivets, I've got one rivet for my D-ring tab. The thread that I'm using is Gutermann thread. It's Gutermann Sew-All thread. Yes, Michael. Michael's already taken the mick out of me because I said Fred as in a man's name. Does it mean if you use Lisa Lamb's PU in any of your bags, you don't need to interface? Carol, sometimes you do need to interface, depending on whereabouts it is on the bag. So for instance, if it's on the base, I would definitely say yes. If it's on shoulder straps or crossbody strap, yes. If it's a pocket on the outside and it's going to get a lot of strain, I would say yes. But if it's the main body, then no. And because this is a small bag, it's not going to be stretched or anything, and it's not going to be overfilled. You don't definitely don't need interfacing on Lisa Lamb's PU. And because we're using a heavy stabiliser on it anyway, which is your H640 fusible fleece. I hope that answers your question, Carol. Right, so I'm using Sew All Thread by Gutermann. Yeah, right, so I'm gonna jump straight into it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make your on here, as you can see, you've got to make your stripy fabric. So to do that, found you at last. Right, so to do that, you get all your stripes and you do lay them out like I do. Right, so for instance, I'm just using this colourway as an example. I'll be moving over to the red and blue afterwards. So there is no interfacing on these, and even if you're using the woven fabric, or if you're using the fashion PU, you don't need to interface it at this point. So we're going to sew all the strips together. Now I'm going to be honest, it takes me a long time to sew the strips together, so I'm going to only sew the 3 together and show you how to do it and what you need to do, because obviously you can press it if it's woven fabric, but as PU's plastic you can't press it, so I need to show you how to do that. Thank you, Emma. Yes, it is also available in my shop. So I'm going to show you how to sew these 3 together, and then I'm going to go over to some images on how to cut it once you've sewn all the how many strips is there? 16 strips. Once you've sewn all the 16 strips together, I will show you in a few diagrams on how to cut it to get the diagonal look, but you don't have to do that, so we're not going to do that yet. Right, okay, so if I just move this. Right, so you're going to get 1 strip of PU and your other strip of PU, all woven fabric, right sides together. Now I find that PU can slip about, so you're going to clip and match up the raw edges of one side. Okay. Da, 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 da. I love joining PU and top stitching. Jan, top stitching is my favourite thing ever. I love top stitching, and people think I am mad. Right, okay, so I've clipped those together. I'm just making sure that's perfect. And what I'm going to do is go to my sewing machine, set my sewing machine at a stitch length 2.4. I'm going to sew along here at 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. And I've got my walking foot on, and most of you will know that I use my walking foot for everything, especially when it comes to bag making and PU. So can we go to the front view camera please, Michael? My chair's so squeaky! Oh, so funny. Oh, it's great having these gaming chairs, but I'll tell you something, they're so squeaky. Right, so I always get, right, I'll tell you a trick, Lynn. It's speed. It's not exactly speed, but it's having that constant speed and don't stop. When you actually stop with, sorry, I still got the giggles. When you stop, when you're top stitching, if you don't get back that momentum, you can actually go a bit wobbly. So it is down to speed, but not, yeah. Momentum, yeah, not memento. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, Mentos are sweets, aren't they? Right, so I'm going to stitch these together using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance and using a stitch length 2.4. Michael, I'm so sorry, but can you get up? My foot pedal's like on the other side of the table and I can't feel it.
You've got little legs.
Yeah, I know, I've only got little legs. Sorry, guys. That's better. Cheers, thank you. I was running after it when I was. Oh, so funny. Right, so I'm just stitching those. Swipe that across. See all the laughing faces now. Right, so I've sewn those together. I've got 2 strips sewn together. Right, so I've got purple for red. Purple for red.
Fred.
Thread. I got purple thread. Oh my god, shut up. Okay. Right, I got poor Mr. Frost. Oh, should we just end it there? Right, so I got purple thread in my don't even look at me. Alright, I got purple thread in my sewing machine. So I'm going to my seam at the back here. I'm going to push it towards the purple side. So I'm not opening up the seam. I'm pushing both of them over to the purple side. And then I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away where these two join, and what will happen is when I top stitch it will catch the actual seam at the back. Right, so the way I'm doing that is I'm basically I'm checking how many Percy Pigs have I had today? None.
You've got none left.
I've got none left, I know.
Except for the calendar.
Yeah, I know, the calendar is just behind this bag here and I can't see it, so. Right, so I'm using a stitch length number 4 because I got a bit of bulk. And I'm not reversing my stitch or anything like that. And what I'm doing is making sure my seam is pointing towards the purple side of my faux leather and making sure I basically pull the PU strips a bit further apart so they are neat and flat when I'm sewing over it. And top stitching 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. Please, maybe go back to the overhead camera, please, Michael. Please don't talk about food and dieting. Sorry, Sharon. I'm not. Right, so I've top stitched on the purple side, obviously, because that's where my thread is. And as you can see on the back, the seam is pointing towards the purple side. So there's my purple side and both seams pointing this side. Right, so it's totally up to you how you want to do it. You might want to do 2 purple, 1 green, like that, but I like to have it doing it as 1 purple, 1 green, 1 purple, 1 green. So I'm going to repeat the same process again on this purple side here. Yeah, I'm going to repeat on this one. Exactly the same process. So you clip it right sides together. And I'm missing half of these comments. They're going so fast. I'm sorry, guys. If I miss any questions, which I don't think I am, I think I'm missing all the food comments here. But if I'm missing any questions, please ask again, and I will basically try and catch it. If I don't catch it in the live, I will personally answer it afterwards. Right, so I'm just going to not top stitch, I'm going to sew 1/4 inch using 2.4 down this side, and then I'm going to top stitch it, and then I'm going to call it a day on just sewing the strips together, because then I will go over to the slides and show you what to do when cutting it out on the diagonal. Right, so please maybe go to the front view, please. Alright, so if I actually sew all the strips, I'll be here all day, and I know your husbands or wives, because I know there's some gentlemen in here, or their partners, are probably thinking, when do I get the internet back? So, dropping my stitch length down to 2.4, and I'm not reversing, I'm just going to sew those two together. Okay, and then I'm just going to top stitch. I'm going to top stitch on the purple side, so it'll be on this side now, and I'm going to do that 1/8 of an inch away, and I'm changing my stitch length to number 4. Make sure you're making sure the seam is pointing towards the side that you're sewing on, and you are keeping 1/8 away from that folded edge, or where them two pieces meet. Got all these things popping up. Look at the lovely bags in the background shelves. This group has come a long way. Where does she get people? Do you like my new lights? Yeah, I got some new lights because I got told on YouTube that it is too dark in the background, so I've got some lights, and I've popped the shelves from those units there down to, yeah, so yeah. Can we go to the overhead, please, Michael? But you saying that, where she got all of her ideas, it's thanks to my Patreon group. No plug or anything. I'm just going to say thanks to them guys for buying me all my camera equipment, for everything that's in the background, my computer and stuff like that. They have brought me that stuff for me, so, and I haven't had to spend a penny. So without them, I can't be doing these lives the way I'm doing them now. Also, the support from you guys who aren't in the Patreon group, you guys have given me so much for buying through my shop, or just buying the odd pattern here and there, or just watching. Even watching on YouTube now will gain me money, as long as you watch those adverts, please, because that's how I get paid. But yeah, just the support that you guys have given me over the past year, it's been, and believe it or not, it has been a year since sewing quarter finished, so yeah, thank you guys. Right, emotional stuff out of the way. Right, so as you can see, I've top stitched. Now you will have a green either side or whatever, so you'll notice there'll be a second top stitching on the purple. That's fine, that's what you want. Keep it to the side, the thread colour that you've got in here. So for instance, one of the actual strips is purple. Keep it to the thread colour that's in your actual machine. Right, so I'm going to just pop that out of the way. That actually makes a nice thing on the bottom of that there. Reminds me of chocolate. Don't ask me why. Oh, I'm sorry, Sharon. I know you're on diet. Oh, sorry. Right. Right, okay, so you would have your large piece, and I'm not kidding, it's super large. Once they're all sewn together, it is really large once it's sewn together, and it will take up quite a lot of room. Okay, so if we go to strips cut 1, please, Michael. Okay, so in strip cuts 1 image is step 1. Right, so this is if you want to cut it at the diagonal. To cut it at the diagonal, you do have to cut on the 45 degrees. So in step 1, you'll see where the dashed line section is. Just underneath that dashed line is my 45-degree angle on my mat. Now when we come off the slides, I will show you my 45-degree angle on my mat. You need to cut that 45-degree angle first to be able to get it on the diagonal, the strips on the diagonal. So once you've cut that first part on the diagonal, you then need to rotate, twist the fabric panel that you've just sewn those strips together, and line that diagonal cut that you've just cut on step 1 onto a line that is a vertical line on your cutting mat. Then make sure that it's dead on, so that it's not overlapping. Make sure it's the edge is matching up to the one of the diagonal vertical lines on the actual cutting mat. Can we go to number 2, please, Michael? So the next thing you need to do is cut along the top. Now there is a waist. I'm going to show you what you can make with that waist, so don't chuck it, especially the larger pieces. So you're going to cut the across the top, and you're going to cut it on one of the horizontal lines. You're going to cut it where you cut it first. So at the top of the image 3, where my rule is where the diagonal cut that you made in step 1 is at the very top. So you'll understand once you actually have it physically in front of you. You cut the straight line on the horizontal, then the measurement at the bottom, the 11¼ by 10¾ is the measurement of the final piece that you need to cut out. That is a definite, and you need to remember that measurement. So the next cut you need to do is keeping the piece of fabric, the stripped fabric of where you are on the mat. You need to move your rule down to the bottom. Now this is where you need to start doing the measurements. So your first measurement at the bottom will be your 10¾ inches. Hence why I've moved over to my smaller rule, and I'll explain that. My small rule is inches, and my large rule is centimetres, because I'm a centimetre girl. But it's only the last 5 years that I've learned inches, so yeah, you will need to measure and cut 10¾ inches. Now you will find that will basically be from the straight edge that you previously cut in step 1, and that will be near enough the measurement to where that last strip at the diagonal is. Then if we go over to image 3, please. That's the bottom one. Thanks. Right, so then you need to make your final cut, and that is your 11¼ inches, and that's your final straight line, and that's your vertical straight line. So that will give you your diagonal strips. Right, so if we go to the overhead, please, Michael. So you'd be left with something like this. Yes, the shiny PU is from Lisa Lamb. I don't know if she's got these colours in stock, but she said, and she promised me she was going to get some more. Right, okay, so you get these strips, but then you're left with all that left over. There is 2 large pieces. Now those triangle pieces that you've just cut off, you can actually sew those together and make a totally different looking panel for your body. So for instance, I put 2 together and it made a chevron. Is that right? Chevron? Yeah. Well, chevron. I don't know. It made a V shape because we sewed it in the centre. But I wanted a matching little coin purse to go inside this. So with my 2 larger pieces, I actually cut it down further, and I've got now 2 little pieces here to make a little coin purse, or because I carry a lot of medicines around with me, to put my medicines in when I take the clutch bag out. So that's a perfect example you can do. So don't chuck these, they can be used. And also, they might not be used for this bag or for making a little separate bag. It might actually be used in a totally other bag. So it might be a bag that you might use from a different designer and want to add it in. So yeah, so don't chuck them out. They are usable. You might not want to use it for this, but like I say, don't chuck it out. Right, so I'm going to pop those to one side, and I'll show you. I'm going to do a blog post on what to do, make a small pouch out of these. Now, please excuse me, I just need a drink. Please pass me my drink. Thank you. Right, thanks for that. Sorry, guys. Right. So now we've got our main body piece, and you will already have cut your plain main body piece. Now if you wanted to, you can do the stripes again, but you'll need to cut the amount of strips again, so you'll need another 16 strips to produce the second body piece. I like having the plain body piece because I'm tight and I don't like using too much fabric. No, it's not that. Right, so on the back, because I'm using Lisa Lamb's PU, which like I say doesn't need interfacing, I've gone ahead and fused my fusible fleece. Now with the fusible fleece, you do that after you've sewn the strips together. So as you can see here that I've got the strips. Now you need to cut your fusible fleece to the size of the panel, so that's your 10 3/4 by 11 1/4, and then you'll need to trim it back, so you need to get rid of it out of the seam allowance. It's quite darker than normal. Okay, come on, just bear with me, guys. That's better. Right, okay. Yeah. Oh. Hi, Laurie. Thank you. Right, okay, so if you've not used the Lisa Lamb PU and you're using likes of the woven fabric, before you put the fusible fleece on, you'll need to interface both of these pieces. And that's the same with if you're using fabric as well. So if you're using cotton fabric, you'll need to interface it first, then fuse your fusible fleece. Now the fusible fleece is self-explanatory. Don't put your iron on the fusible fleece. Put a pressing cloth over the top. Make sure there's steam in your iron and press over. That's my iron. Oh, gone out of focus. Right, there you go. That's my iron pression. And then basically make sure you've got the pressing cloth there. Now the same goes with this piece as well. Okay. So we're going to get into making the bag now. So we are moving over to step right. Okay, let's put the paper clip in. We are moving over to making the D-rings. So the D-ring is like last time. I'm going to pop this to one side. We're going to come back to that in a minute. So with this, you've got 3 little squares. The largest square is your D-ring tab. Now, I'll leave that for a minute. So I'm going to pop those 2 little squares to one side because that's to do with your zip. So on the back, you need to find the centre. So if I just... So this is 1 1/2, so it's 3/4 of an inch from one of the long sides into the centre. And you need to draw a line. Now, you don't need to draw this line if you're using fabric. If you're using quilted and cotton, you can just go to your iron and press these 2 long sides into the centre. But because I'm using PU, we can't use the iron on this side. You can use the iron on the wrong side, by the way, guys. Just putting that out there. But you just got to keep it at a lower temperature. So I've got wash away tape or quilter's tape, depending on which manufacturer's Wonder tape. And I'm going to tape either side of that line. So... like so. Oh no, wrong way. Wrong place. Loopy juice got to me. Right, okay. And then you're going to peel off the backing. And you're going to bring the 2 long sides into that centre line. And you're going to push down. Like I say, if you're using woven fabric, you can iron that into place. So, okay. So you should have it looking like that, so it's into the centre. So you're going to get your D-ring. The side that has no join needs to be the side where the horseshoe is of the D-ring. So this side where the horseshoe is. Now you're just going to fold this over so the 2 short ends meet, and we're just going to pop a clip in it. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is, right, so you want to work out, there's that clutch. Right, so you want to work out whether you want your stripes on the bit underneath where it's folded or whether you want it on the top. I'm going to go different this time, so I'm going to work on my plain one for the next few steps because I want my stripes to be on this flap, this folded over bit here, and the plain to be at the bottom. So this is where you need to work out if you're going to do a plain and a striped, which side you want your stripes to fall on. So I'm going to work on my plain today, but in the pattern it's on the stripes. So I'm going to get my plain one. Okay. You need to find the centre top and the centre bottom of the actual main body piece. Now it's 11 1/4 inches by 10 3/4. Your 10 3/4 should be this part here. So it's your zip part. It's your actual your width of your bag. The height of the bag is 11 1/4 side. So just bear that in mind. So we're working on making sure that's 11 1/4. Yeah, that's 11 1/4. So I'm going to fold it vertically, and that's the 2 short edges of the actual pattern of the actual main body. And I'm just going to snip into the seam allowance at the top and at the bottom. I'm not going past that past 1/4 inch. Okay, so that's for your further reference. So the first thing you need to do is need to attach the D-ring. So I like to have my D-ring tabs on this side. So I'm going to go for putting it on this side. But depending on if you want how actually you hold it. So I hold mine in my left hand. So I'm dyslexic, guys, so I don't know my lefts and rights. I hold my bags in my left hand because my right hand is my crutch hand. I have a crutch, a walking stick, so that's on my right hand. So I naturally put my D-ring on the side that my hand is free. So, but if you carry it in this hand, you'll need to put the D-ring on this side here. Right, okay, so I'm going to put the D-ring on this side. I need to measure up from the bottom, and we are going to measure up. Where's that measurement gone? Should have said what it to be. 5 inches. Okay, so I'm finding the 5-inch mark on my actual quilter's rule or ruler, depending on how you want to say it. Me and Princess. And I've put the bottom edge on the 5-inch mark, and I'm just going to pop this here. So the D-ring is inside on the main panel. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is base stitch this into place. So I'm just going to base stitch it within the 1/4 inch away from the edge. But remember, the seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch for this bag. So can we go to the front view, please, Michael? Right, so wrong slide. You're sacked. Right, just no, sit down. Right, I'm just going to just change my thread over because I've got purple in it, and I'm not using purple on the
thread.
Yeah. I'm not using the purple thread on this bag here, so just bear with me. I do apologise, guys. So I won't sack Michael anyway. Do you know why? Because I need him to do my books, my banking. No, I'll do my banking, but you do my calculations in the tax year. Oh. Right, so if you're wondering what machine I'm using an Elna Pro 720 Excellence. Michael, sit. Lynn told you to sit.
Oh, you sacked me.
No, I haven't sacked you. Or I'll take it back. Right, I'll just look, right, anybody that's new to the group. Right, so we live in an apartment that's open plan, and our living room's behind the camera. This is like our dining room, my studio area. This side is the kitchen. So here, next to this bag, is the fridge. Yes, if you're watching, that is a fridge. But have any of you got husbands that leave kitchen doors open, like in the cupboards, or kitchen drawers open? Because I've just looked into the kitchen, there's a drawer open and I can just see it. He's off to close it. He knows that's my pet hate. Yes, thank you. Yeah. He loves me, really. Oh. Right, okay, I'm just gonna spread this up. My needle thread is broke, so just bear with me. Okay. Because I'm using a large needle, a size 16 needle, it's quite a large eye on it, so just give that a whirl. Right, so I'm just testing it to make sure the stitches are making the full stitches. I always do that. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I have some scrap pieces of fabric for me to do that. Right, so I'm just base stitching it. Yeah, it's obviously they have a fantastic relationship. Yeah, we do. Yeah. So was that a cough? Right, so I'm using a stitch length number 5, and I'm base stitching within the 1/4 inch away from that edge. And I'm going to reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. Right, okay. Right, please may we go to the overhead camera, please, Michael? I did say please. I didn't click my fingers.
What we do?
I normally do. Come on. Right, okay, so I've base stitched that into place, and as you can see I'm just around about 1/4 inch away. That's making sure that when we do sew this complete bag together, that it's not going to be seen once we turn the bag out. Right, so we need to now add the magnetic snap. So we're going to find the centre top and centre bottom, which we've already done. We're going to measure down 2 1/4 inches from the centre top and mark. So I'm going to do that first. So it's going to ask you to get the male part of the magnetic snap. So I'll just explain a bit about the magnetic snaps. So hoping you can see that. Is that in focus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so now Lynn, this will make you laugh. The nipple, the knobbly bit, is the male. And that's normally the flatter part of of a traditional magnetic snap. When I say traditional, you can get slim magnetic snaps, and they're both this thin, so even the female side is thin. My female side is slightly chunkier, like me, and that's got the dimple going in, so it's an innie, like a belly button innie. So that's the female. So we're going to pop the female part to one side, and we're going to use one of the washers that comes with the magnetic snap. So it should come with 2. So make sure you've always got 2. Okay. So we're going to use the one that hasn't got the magnetic part on. So we're going to measure down from that centre marking down 2 1/4 inches, and we're going to mark. Now you probably won't see my marks at the distance that the camera is, but I will bring it up to the camera so you guys can see. So we're going 2 1/4 inches down. So my centre is here, so it's on this line here on the map. So I'm going to use number 6 on my quarters rule. Okay. What I'm doing is making sure my top edge of my actual main body is lined up to the 2 1/4 inch line on my quarters rule. I'm just going to pop a mark. Okay. So you've got a mark there. I'm hoping you can see it. It's there. So we're going to get the washer, and on the washer you have a hole in the centre and two slits. We're going to work with the hole first and pop that over that mark that you've just made, and you are going to draw 2 on those 2 slits. Okay. Now if you're using woven fabric, you can pop a pin at the end of those 2 marks, pop your seam ripper in and rip into those 2 dashed lines that you've just drawn. However, because I'm using PU, I can't put a pin in, so I'm going to have to be super careful when I cut into these. Okay, so I'm just going to pop it in at the bottom of the slit and just wiggle it up to the top of that slit. You don't want to go any further. Okay, and then you need to do the other one as well. Okay, that's it. Okay. Right, so I'm going to get the male and we're going to pop the 2 prong bits here, so the 2 little legs that stick out. I'm going to pop those through those 2 slits that we've just drawn, and it should pop out onto the wrong side, which is the fleece side. We're going to get the washer, pop that over the top, and I'm not biased which way you push these prongs. Some people say they have to be in the into the centre. Some people say they have to be on the outside. It's hit and miss which way you do it. I've not got no preference over it. So I'm going to go one step further, which isn't mentioned in the actual pattern. I've got electrical tape or gaffer tape, depending on which brand you go for. I'm just going to cut a little piece off. And possibly about an inch's worth. I'm just going to cut that in half because I don't need all that. I can use that on the female side. I'm just going to stick that over the top. Reason why I'm doing is this, if we come to when we put the lining in the bag or sew the lining in, these prongs won't rip the lining at any stage in the future. Okay, so we now have the male part of the magnetic snap in, and we're going to repeat the same kind of process with a different measurement for the female part of the snap at the bottom. Hi, Lo. I know, she calls me Fred. Lo, I haven't forgotten about your crochet stuff. What I said. Yeah, I know, Fred. I know, I'm Fred. I'm going to put it in the post this weekend for you. It's just been a hectic week with a pattern launch. Right, so from the centre bottom, which is this dominant line here, I'm going to measure 4 3/4 up from the bottom. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4. And I'm putting my number 6 of my quarters roll on here, making sure this line is is lined up to the bottom edge of the panel, and I'm going to pop a mark on the number 6 on here. I don't think that's straight. I'm sorry if you can see my head. You can check if I got knits. I don't mind. Loads. Thanks, Michael. Right, so I've popped a mark there. Gonna get the washer. I'm doing exactly the same process. Pop the washer over that mark. Draw 2 slits in. And I'm going to, once again, like I say, if you're using woven fabric, you can put a pin across and then pop your quick unpick in, or just be extra careful. Or if you've got Americans call them X-Acto knives, we call them craft knives, you can just cut those in and just the Ginger Ninja. Hope you have clothes on this time. Yeah, he's got clothes on. Yeah, he has. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to get the female part of the snap. I'm going to get the female part of the snap, and the 2 legs are going to go through those slits there. So they call them prongs, but I'm going to call them legs. and pop those through. I'm going to flip that over. You're going to pop the washer over the top. And like I say, it really doesn't matter whether you're an innie or an outie, but no, Michael's chuckling here, but you don't hear half of the arguments that happen in bag making groups with are you an innie or an outie when you're putting the prongs on. It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Right, okay. So, as you can see, you can understand what's going to happen is it's going to close, and that's going to be your the bit that's underneath, which is the stripy bit on this one. Right, so that bit's done. We're going to pop this to one side, and we're going to work on the zip. Right, so you've got your zip and you've got your tabs. Okay, so your tabs are 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, so it doesn't matter which side you draw the line on, but from the one short end you need to measure in 1/2 inch and draw a line. Okay. Okay, making sure that's right. Yeah, that's right, yeah. And then you're going to draw another 1/2 inch in on the other tab. Okay. So Michael, Lynn's backed me up on that about the magnetic snap, please. There is magnetic snap, please. I push mine out and find it easier for me to press. Susan, I'm with you on that one. We prefer them in rather than out. Susan, I'm with you on that one. In the winter I have really bad arthritis in my hands. Not really bad, I know some people are worse off than me, but to get my fingers in, to push it in, it really hurts. To push it out, I don't know what it is, but I'm using my wrists more. So yeah. Right, so we are going to lay them like so the 2 1/2 inch sections are facing towards each other. This is going to be easier doing it this way if you're a beginner. Sorry, I know what you're talking about now. Loads a bit slow. Right, so we're going to get the quilter's tape and we are going to pop some quilter's tape on the edge furthest away from the that vertical line that we drew on that piece there. And then we're just going to pop a bit on this piece, this side here. You in your caravan, Lo? I mean camper home. You off touring? Or you're at home? Okay, Lo, I haven't got any of your jewellery on today, but I think I need a ring. I think that might be my Christmas present off Michael. Yeah, so anybody that doesn't know, Lo actually makes jewellery which looks like cotton spools or buttons, and it's all silver. And the recent pair that I bought is a hexagon with a bee on, so like for the sewing bee. So yeah, Lo, you can drop a link into the comments if you want to. And it's all silver and it's made to order. No lockdown at home. Yeah, I know that feeling. Right, okay. Right, so I'm going to peel off this backing tape here and this one here. So we're going to work on those first. We're going to fold over this edge here and we're going to fold it to where that vertical drawn line is and press down. Okay, and we're going to do the same with this one here as well. Thank you guys. Right, so you should have 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. So the next thing you're going to do is on where the wrong side, or the right side of the faux leather is, the PU leather, I'm going to stick some more quill twist tape on top. And I'm just going to stick it anywhere within that area. I'm going to do the same on this one as well. Okay, so I'm going to now peel off the backing tape off the other side that we haven't worked on yet. So I'm going to get my zip and I'm going to stick the edge of this zip up to where this folded part is. So I'm just going to stick that into place. So it's like that. I'm going to peel off his backing here and fold that over. Okay. Now, if you're using cotton woven fabric, you'll need to, rather having 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, you'll need 1.5 inches by 2 inches, because you'll need to fold over this side. So you'll need to do basically what we did here on both sides. Because you can't have the raw edge because it will fray. But as we're using PU in this demonstration, you don't need that that extra fold. So I'm just going to pop a clip on that, and I'm just going to run a few stitches over this on my machine. I'll be back in a second. Hang on. Okay, so I've ran some stitches over, and because this is a nylon zip, I can sew over it. It looks metal, but it's actually nylon. But I needed those to be close together. So I'm going to repeat the same process, peel off the backing off the raw side and pop that as close as I can to where that folded edge is, not the folded edge, where the raw side of the folded edge side is, and then collecting all these pieces here. Fold that over and stick that into place and pop a clip on it. Right, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine. Now, I say in the pattern you only have to do 1 row of stitches, but I find that doing 2 rows of stitches is going to be a lot better for you. So I'm going to go and sew just 1/16 away from this folded edge here, and I'm going to top stitch across the top, and I'm going to use a stitch length 3.5. Then I'm just going to move over and just do another row of stitches, and that'll be around about 1/8 of an inch away from this folded edge. I'm going to do that for both sides here. Please maybe go to the front view. So I'm changing my click on the grey area, please. That's it. Right. I'm going to change my stitch length to a 3.5, and I'm going to try 1/16 first. Now I do go a bit slow over this part because I am going over the zip. Well, that went over smoothly. And then I'm just going to do a second row, and that's quite close to the last row. I'm doing it just over 1/8 of an inch away from that folded edge. And we're just going to repeat the same on the other end. And one more row. I'm not reversing my stitch either. There's no point because we're going to be locking those stitches within the seams of when we sew this to the bag anyway. Please let me go to the overhead. Come on, Ginge, wake up. Right, okay. Right, okay, so I'm just going to trim off any bird's nests that I've got going on. Cheep, cheep. Yeah. Right, okay. Oh. Okay. What's happened to the camera? Michael, can you just go to the front view, please? And click the front view off. So, just having problems with the camera. Just. Right, okay, we're back on. Right, okay, so sorry about that, guys. Right, okay, so I'm just trimming off any of the loose bits of thread. Yes, Lo? I said thread. Okay. And you want these out of the way, you want to get rid of them now. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Right, okay, so you have got a slight overhang on each side. I'm very peculiar and I like to I like to trim these extra bits off so it matches where the zip tape starts on both sides. So I'm just going to trim those off. Scissors, Right, so I'm just going to trim those bits off. It's marginal, but it means it's not in your seams and it's your free from bulk within your seams. Same on this one as well. Okay. Now, you remember when I was talking about the pouch here that I cut out? Do your zip the exactly same way for the pouch, but like I say, there'll be a blog post over the weekend coming up for these anyway. So, okay. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to add the zip on to the bag. So we're going to go for this one first. Sorry, Michael. I'm not attacking my husband. I'm just chucking rubbish at him. I'm not really chucking rubbish at him. I'm not chucking rubbish at you. No, that's fine. Lo, I'll be contacting you and I'll send that stuff over to you. So sorry, it's a bit late. Right, so you need to work out which way you like your zip. So even though I like my wristlet in this hand here, I still, even though my hand is probably on my crutch or my stick, I didn't say crotch, I said crutch, Michael, don't look at me. I have my zip on this side, so I'm going to pop my zip on the zip pull on the opposite side to my D-ring. Okay, so I'm going to find the centre of this zip. We're going to mark it. And I'm just going to mark with the pen. So I've got 2 marks there, so it tells me where my centre is. And where that centre top is, I've got to cut it in so I can find that easy. I'm going to run quilter's tape along the very top edge. I'm going to peel that off, making sure my zip pull is on this side because that's where I want it to be. That is where my this dominant line here is where my centre is of the top. I'm just going to stick this zip into place. Now you should have just about 1/4 of an inch either side of the, I'll say that, no, you should have just under 1/4 of an inch either side of the zip. I've left it tight at the top for a reason. For when we sew it together, it means that it gives it a nicer finish, and you can't see the lining, because that's my pet hate, is you will see the lining if we leave a larger gap. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is run quilter's tape along this edge here. And we're going to get the lining. So you'll notice in the last video I made a slip pocket. If you are going to make a slip pocket, there is no slip pocket in this one mentioned in the pattern, but there is nothing stopping you doing the slip pocket. But you've got to make sure the slip pocket is at the bottom of your lining. So for instance, here's your lining. It's got to be here at the bottom. But remember to give yourself enough seam allowance for when you close the lining up. However, I'm making a little pouch for my little belongings and stuff. So I don't really need to do the actual slip pocket, but there's nothing stopping you using the instructions from the first clutch, which is from the first video, which is this one here, and that's inside slip pocket. So it's 8 inches by 7 inches. You can, there's no harm in doing that if you wanted to, and add that there. Right, so there is no interfacing whatsoever on the lining pieces. So I'm just going to peel off the backing tape off that. Ooh, come on, focus. There you go. And make sure, as you can see, my lining, if I've got, is shorter on one side, so make sure it fits perfectly, and then just stick that into place. So it should go from edge to edge. Right, so we're going to go to the keeps losing focus. Ooh, there you go. Right, so we're going to go to our sewing machine, change your stitch length down to a 2.4, and we are going to sew 3/8 of an inch away from the edge. So that should take you to where the zip is. It's adamant you're going to have to pop your needle down at one point and move the zip pull out the way. That is adamant, so just bear that in mind, but always make sure that your needle is down. So can we go to the front camera, please? Right, so I'm using a stitch length 2.4 on my machine, and I'm reversing my stitch at the start and at the end. I've moved my zip pull a bit further into the middle as well to start off with, and because we're using the number 5 zip, it means that I can do a seam allowance, so from 3/8 of an inch away from the edge. Had to think then, but yeah. So I reverse my stitch at the start. Right, so I've come to my zip pull. I'm going to go a bit further actually, because there isn't enough room to pull the zip pull back yet. Right. So I've now come to my zip pull. Going to lift up my presser foot and go hunting inside and move that zip pull to the where we started, and just drop the actual presser foot down and carry on stitching. Make sure you reverse your stitch at the end as well. Oh, not seeing comments here. Right, so I've stitched that into place. Can we go to the overhead, please, Michael? Right, so I've stitched that into place. Now you can go to your iron and give this a good press. No need to. Right, so I don't know if many of you do this, but if I'm not interfacing any of my fabrics, I always starch it. So I use best press. I really do use a lot of best press on it to stop any stretch. Well, it doesn't stop all the stretch, but it actually reduces the stretch. So, and also gives it the body and the strength that if you were to interface it, it will do near enough the same thing if you were to interface it with light interfacing. So I've best pressed this, so I don't actually need to use my iron. But if you don't use best press or any form of starch, you can go to your iron and press this open, but just be careful not to get your iron on any of the PU. So I'm just going to finger press that and then flip this over and roll that. Okay, so just make sure your lining is near enough at the bottom. Now you can clip your lining into place if you want to. I'm not going to. So I'm going to go back to my sewing machine and use what are you using for lining? I'm just using cotton fabric, Jennifer. So I'm using from Michelle's group. She had some bags of difference. So she had like meters of these, like £5 a metre or £7 a metre, I can't remember. But it's great for lining bags with, because it's cheap. Yeah, cheap and cheerful, Becky. Right, so I'm going to go to back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch, not reverse my stitch. I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from this edge here, and I'm going to top stitch using a top stitch number 4 on my machine. It's just cotton fabric, it is. So can we go to the front view, please? Thanks. Right, so I'm just moving my zip out the way, my zip pull out the way, and I'm just going to knock my stitch length up to a 4, and so I'm approximately 1/8 of an inch away. Right, so I've lifted up my presser foot and I'm going to move my zip pull underneath it and out the way, so I can just go straight across. Okay, so if we go to the overhead, please, Michael. Thank you. Right, so I've top stitched across here, as you can see, 1/8 of an inch away approximately. And we're going to repeat the same process with this one, but we're going to work with the stripy one this time. So I'm going to flip this round because I find it easier doing it this way. I'm going to make sure my zip pull is out of the way, pointing up. And I'm going to run quilter's tape along the top. Now, I don't know if you noticed here, but I've got a little bit of red showing here. I'm going to unpick this. It's not going to be seen. Just going to peel it off. If it's 1/4 of an inch, take it away, because it's going to add too much bulk in that area. So it's only a marginal, that's less than 1/4 of an inch I've peeled off. So if you've got anything under 1/4 of an inch on that corner, or this corner, or whatever corner it lands on, peel it off. As long as your blue or your stripe that is here has got enough to make the actual row, which mine has. Right, okay, so with that top bit there, I'm going to run quilter's tape along that edge. I know it's raining here. Has anybody else got any rain? Right, so I'm going to peel off this back in here. I'm going to flip this over and match up this edge and this edge to these two edges here. And I'm going to stick this onto my zip. Like so. It's temporarily stuck. I'm going to flip that over and then just line up the zip tape so it is in line with that raw edge at the top. Pouring it down. Yeah, it is pouring it here as well. Right, so once again, you know what's coming. More quilter's tape. You guys will get used to me. Quilter's tape best friend. Yeah, Susan, I love Best Press, but I can't overly use it because it's actually got alcohol in it, so it plays on my chest. But I use Flatter quite a lot as well. Can't find the end. No, there it is. Right, okay.
It's in the start.
At the start, is it? Right, so I'm going to run quilter's tape along here. I'm in Spain. Temperatures are very nice during the day. Oh, thanks. No, Spain's lovely. I like Spain. No rain, but very windy. Yeah, you're in Jersey, aren't you? So, right. So I've ran quilter's tape to the end. I'm just going to peel off that. And the same again. Get that line in. And make sure it's the right way. So, no, it was the right way. I think, no, it's that way. Stick that into place. Like so. And if, once again, I'm going to start this side because my zip pulls here. I'm going to sew 3/8 of an inch away from this edge here, in towards the zip, using a stitch length 2.4 on my machine, all the way across, and then I'm going to open it up, so we will have it like that with the obviously the lining, and then I'm going to top stitch. But you can see me do that on the overhead on the front view camera. So please may we go to the front view camera, please, Michael. Right, so I'm using a stitch length 2.4. As you can see, once you've sewn all those strips together, this comes together really quick. It's one of the faster ones to make once you've done all those strips. Like I say, you don't have to do those strips. In the pattern, I'm pointing, my head's pointing over there. In the pattern, it says you don't have to do the strips if you don't want to. You can just cut 2 of the main plain bodies pieces if you wanted to, so it's totally up to you. And also in the instructions I say that you don't have to cut the stripes on the diagonal if you don't want to. So you could actually, if you're cutting it on the straight, you could actually make 2 fold over clutches. So you can make one at the correct size and one at a slightly slimmer size. So you can get 2 out of that large piece of fabric that you sew all the stripes together. So yeah, it's totally up to you how you do it, but I like the diagonal Right, so I'm just sewing. I've reversed my stitch at the end, and when I come to the zip pull, I'm going to make sure my needle is down. So I'm coming close to where that pull is. I'm making sure my presser foot is up, and move that zip pull out of the way. So I'm just struggling here. Right, I'm going to have to cut my thread. Yes, Michael, I said thread. I'm going to have to go and sew over that bit. I'm just going to work out what's wrong with my... there. There you go. Right, so where I finished sewing, I'm going to go a bit further in. So I'm going an inch in from where I finished off and re-sew over that section. Okay. And I'm going to reverse my stitch. It's because I got a chunky zip pull on and it wouldn't go underneath my presser foot because of the angle that I had it at. I can't get my words out. Right, so I'm reversing my stitch at the end. Right, so like I did before, you probably can see this on here. I'm just going to open up this. I'm going to close that zip up completely. And I'm just going to finger press. Okay, and then I'm just going to flip so I got it this, and then I'm just going to top stitch along that edge there. So I'm making my stitch length a number 4 on my machine. And I'm not reversing my stitch this time. Oh, that's too far. And I'm just going to top stitch along. It's adamant that I'll have to move my zipper foot again, my zipper pull again. So I'm just flattening it out as I go, making sure the seam, where the seam is pointing down towards the base of the bag. Right, so I'm coming to where the zipper pull is. I'm just going to pull it out of the way and carry on sewing. Okay, please may we go to the overhead. Thanks. Thank you. Can you pass me the drink, please, Michael? Thank you. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Right, so I've put my zip pull into the centre. I'll just show you my top stitching. Not the best, but it'll do. Well, for me, it's not the best. Right, so I'm popping my zip pull into the centre. And what I'm going to do is grab the 2 main outer pieces. Best thing I learnt from you was the quilter's tape. Well, one of the fab tips. Oh, I've lost Facebook. Right, just bear with me, guys. Sorry about this. There you go, got it. Right, so I'm going to get the 2 main outer fabric pieces. Obviously, you can see my 2 lining pieces. I'm going to match up those 2 edges there first. And I'm going to pop some clips in it while it's there. Quilter's tape, I can't live without it, guys. Really can't live without it. don't ever use, I saw someone in a tutorial today use double-sided sticky tape. Please don't ever use double-sided sticky tape. I've learnt that the hard way. My industrial sewing machine, my dad had to take apart and really clean it out. There's nothing stopping you using leather double-sided sticky tape, but just don't use normal double-sided sticky tape because it's so overly gumpy, gluey and stuff like that. So I've clipped across here. I'm going to flip that so we have the lining here. So this part here we are going to fold, so this part in the centre pushes towards the main part of the bag. Now it's going to be tight. Okay, so you're going to pop a clip here and here. Now if you're going to find that's going to be too bulky, you can do, my machine's not going to cope with that bulkiness, so I'm going to push that up towards the lining. But if you've got a really strong industrial sewing machine, then you shouldn't have a problem. Right, so I've poked mine up towards the lining. We will deal with that late stage, don't worry about that. Pop that clip on. I'm just clipping down that one side. And here as well. Now it's adamant, for those of you that know me, my bulky seam aid is going to come out in the next few steps. So I'll explain what a bulky seam aid is and how to use it in a minute. So once again, I've got the middle part here. I'm going to push towards my lining. So I'm going to get my finger in and push it up. And I'm just going to clip that into place. Because I've got quite excessive bulk here, I'm definitely going to have to get the bulky seam aid. Right. Okay. Okay, so this is my bulky seam aid. Okay, is that back in focus, guys? I think it's because it's that. I'm going to pop this here for now. Focus is better. I think it's because it's white. No, it's not your eyesight, it's the camera. You know, I've explained this to the club members in the past. It keeps thinking it's a professional camera and it's trying to focus, and unfortunately it's a white background and it's not liking it. Right, so this is a bulky seam aid, or a hump jumper, a jean jig, some places call it, but in my shop they're called bulky seam aids because that's what the brand calls it. This is a hemline one. Actually no, this isn't hemline, this is the one that came with my sewing machine. So as you can see, it's got a V shape. One side is thicker than the other, so this side is thicker than that side. So if you've got a bulky side that's really thick, you use this side. If it's a bulky-ish but not too thick, you use that side. This bit here and here is where your needle will fall in here. So make sure your needle is here, but you don't have to always use it here. You can use your needle position on this side here, or on this side here, and your foot will be on this part here. So I'm going to try and show you on the overhead on the front view camera, please, Michael. Right, so I'm dropping my stitch length down to a number 3. I'm going to start sewing on the lining side. I'm going to sew all the way down to the corner here, and then I'm going to pivot round. But when I come to this area, this is going to come in effect here. So I'm sorry it keeps coming out of focus. I've got to sort something out. So I'm using the stitch length 3.8, and I'm going to reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. So I'm just going to take it nice and slow, and I'm using the stitch length number 3. Right, so I'm going to sew as far as my foot will let me to where that bulkiness is. Now you've got to make sure your zip pull is definitely in the centre. You don't want it on any of the sides, because that will cause some damage to your needle. So I'm sewing as far as I can. Now what my foot is trying to do is, this is my my bed, and this is where my sewing is. My foot was riding flat until it got to there, and what happens is it goes up at an angle. Now when it goes up at an angle, the stitches are not making the full stitch going through, so when it meets the bobbin thread underneath, it's not doing the little hook that it does and catches. So you need that presser foot to be flat. So we're going to click up the presser foot up, pop this underneath so the needle sits in to where this groove is here, and then basically drop the presser foot back down, and it should be at the same height as where that bulk is. So on my latest new pattern video, there is an in-depth section within that video of how to actually use the bulky seam aid. So I'm going to go really slow over this because it's nice and chunky and thick. See, my machine is not liking it, so I'm going to have to hand crank it. So just bear with me. Okay, so I'm just hand cranking it. Now you can hand crank as much as you want, but be careful to where you come to where the bulkiness finishes. So I'm making sure my needle does the full stitch down. So I'm at the point where the presser foot is going over the bulk and it's finished going over the bulk, but what's happening now is it's going off at an angle here, so we need that to be flat. So I'm now going to pop this in at this side here underneath, so my presser foot knows to keep at that one level, and I'll go 3 or 4 stitches, lift up my presser foot, move that bulky seam aid a little bit more, and sew a few more stitches, and then basically remove this and carry on stitching. And I'm going down to the first corner and pivot. And I'm stopping 1 centimetre away, that's 3/8 of an inch away from the edge. And then I'm lifting up my presser foot and pivoting round, and carry on sewing on the base as well. Right, so I'm stopping 3/8 of an inch away and making sure my needle is down and pivoting around that corner. Right, so I'm coming to where the D-ring is on this row. Make sure the D-ring, I didn't check this before, but make sure the D-ring is actually pointing down towards where the magnetic snaps are. I'm just going to go and have a look, because if you sew over that, you'll break your needle. So, right, okay. I'm just going to carry on sewing. I've got my walking foot on, Jennifer. The walking foot for bag making with bulk anyway is really good. So I'm coming to the bulky area where the D-ring is. I'm going to have to pop this in behind it. These are so dirt cheap. Some machines actually come with them and people don't actually know what they are. It's for stuff like this. And if you can't get one, I do actually sell them in my shop. They're £2.50 ish, £2.50 in my shop. Just going to lift up my presser foot, pop this in the front, and do a few stitches off that bulk. Remove that, so as close as I can to where that bulky bit is of that zip. Right, and I'm obviously going to pop the bulky seam made back underneath. And I'm making that my final stitch before I hand crank. Hand cranking means that you know that needle is going into the correct position it needs to on the bottom plate as well. Yeah, I put my foot down, Michael. I put my foot down and it just didn't like that. Okay. Alright, I'm getting past that bit now. So, on the home stretch. Yeah, Sally Ann, they are magic. They're the best thing I teach anyway. So I'm just going to take it slow, come off it, come off that bulk, lift up my presser foot and slightly move it, the bulky seam made a bit more, until my presser foot is clear with that bulk. And then I'm just going to go to the last bit of that lining. And I'm just going to reverse my stitch. Right, can we go to the overhead please, Michael? Thank you. It's not in focus, there you go. Right, so I'm just going to trim back any of the seams that I got too much on. So I'm going to trim back by half. You don't need them. And here as well. So where that zip part is, you will cut into it. It's best to, because we're going to have to push it out a bit. So cut it back to at least half the amount. Same on this side as well. As you notice, I'm not cutting into my lining. There's no need to, because we haven't got much bulk there anyway. So the only bit I'm cutting to in my lining is where that bulky zip part is. Get rid of this. my pet hate is rubbish. Right, so you're going to get the good old-fashioned cheap chopstick. Yay! You're going to get your hand in through the bottom bit. Open up the zip. You're going to grab this and pull it through. Now you're going to pull it through really slowly because you've got that bulky area and you want to make sure it's caught your stitching has caught. Okay. You're going to get your chopstick in and poke out those corners as well. Like I say, if you're finding that zip part bulky, hand crank it, turn your machine off. If you know because like I did, I rest my foot on my presser foot. Turn your machine off. You can still operate your machine with hand cranking it, but you won't have your light on, obviously. So I'm going to pop those corners out. And this corner here, I'm going to pop it as much as I can, as much as my bag wants to let me. Okay. And this one here. Get that loose piece of thread. Right, so I've got a bit of bulk there. You can get a hammer or a roller and squash that down. So I'm using my Cricut machine roller. Just squash it down a bit. You don't want that showing. Or if you've got a one of those wooden ones that you use in quilting. Or kitchen, yeah, like Michael says, a kitchen rolling pin. It's just crushing those fibres. We do this in leather work anyway, quite a lot. Okay, but if you've used quilting cotton, you won't need to do that. You can just go to your iron and give that a good press. To be fair, you won't get that much bulk if you've used quilting cotton. Right, so we're going to just close up this lining piece. Can you only go one way once read? Yeah, you can only hand crank one way, Tracy, and that's towards you, always towards you. Saying that though, I had a Singer sewing machine that you hand cranked away from you, so that's a bit wrong actually, an old hand cranked sewing machine. Right, so we need to close up this. Now if you want to be professional, you can actually fold this in, and I like to fold it at least 3/4 of an inch in on both. Give that a good press, and then basically you can whip stitch this or ladder stitch this depending on how you want to do it. Hand sew this together. It looks so much more professional, but I'm not professional. I'm just going to clip this together and take it to my sewing machine and stitch it together. So I'm just clipping that. As you noticed, I did 3/4 of an inch tucking in into here because it will cut away that bagginess within the bag. No, that's fine, Lisa. But Lisa, you need some more shiny PU in your shop. I'm just putting that out there. Right, so I'm just going to quickly sew across this bit here. I'll be doing that off the camera. Using a stitch down for 2.4. Reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. And preferably, if you're going to do it on your sewing machine, do it with the same colour thread that is your lining thread. I'm doing it approximately 1/8 of an inch away. I'm saying approximately. It's not the best of stitching, I'll tell you that for sure. Because I'm at a stupid angle. I know I'm nagging the supplier. Get on them, get on it. Right, so it's not the best of top stitching, but it doesn't matter. Right, so I'm just going to pop that inside and close up that zip. So my lining doesn't actually touch the bottom, it's about 1/4 of an inch away from the bottom. Okay, and close that zip up. Okay, and fold that over, click it into place, and get your roller. If you've used PU, get your roller and crush that part there. So it makes your dominant part. Okay, and if we go to the front view for the last time. Well, there you go. That's the one, Michael. And there you have it. You have your fold over clutch. So yeah. Now, like I said, there is a wristlet mentioned in the actual in the pattern. I'm going to be putting that separate video up on YouTube tomorrow. I'm just going to quickly edit it now because I've got all the clips together. I've just got to edit it. So yeah, it's a quick and easy. Once you've done all those stripes, it's so quick and easy to put together. It is just marvellous, and it's so nice to hold in your hand. And yeah, so like I say, any questions, please don't hesitate. Also, what is the name of that little roller? Oh, Lynn. Right, so I have a Cricut machine which cuts your like stickers and stuff like that. So it's just an ordinary roller, but Zoom disco. Yeah, so you can get quilters rolls. Now, I don't know what they're called, but they're wooden. So it's a smaller, so it's half the size. So it's about 1.5 inches, and the roller's wooden, and they sell those at what's it called? So Hot. That's it, a brayer. You can get in art. We used to use a like a rubbery style brayer, or you can use a kitchen roll, a kitchen pin roll. What do they call it? What you roll your pastry out. You can use one of those. I'm just using this because it's always around, because we use this for sticking onto the mat. Okay, there was a question. You're welcome. Jennifer, I sell zips. I sell number 5 zips and number 3 zips in my shop. They come on 1.5 meter lengths, and then you just buy the pulls, the relevant pulls. So for instance, if you wanted like a purple zip tape, but you wanted a green zip pull, you can just buy the green zip pulls. So if you go to www.rjafmakes.com, and I have all bag hardware on there, and all the bags that I teach on my channel is everything supplied in there apart from fabric. So anything. A wallpaper roller, that's a bit too soft. You need something with a bit of weight. Right. Any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask. What was the white plastic foot thing called? A bulky seam made, Sarah. So I sell them. They're called, in my shop, they're called Becky's favourite tool. The bulky seam made. I'll put the link into the group afterwards. After this. Yeah, Lisa, I agree. I like doing a mix and match. So for anybody that's new to the group, I and haven't seen, I've got a new bag pattern out, and it's called the Ready for Anything bag here. Don't forget, there is a post in the group that's giving you 15% off until well, no, it is now extended until Sunday. So yeah, can you get Dawn, they're on order. You know that in our chat last night, when I said I'm ordering a lot from the wholesalers, they're on that order, so they're coming. A lot of new hardware's coming, actually. A lot of money was spent last night, unfortunately.
Rainbow ribbons.
Pardon?
Can you get rainbow ribbons?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. You're a bit slow there, Michael. Yeah, so I am getting some. It was on the list of all the money that I spent yesterday, so yeah, a lot of money. But yeah, any oh, thank you. Thanks, Isabel. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to go because it is getting late. And yeah, and don't forget there'll be a blog post going up in the next few days on what I'm going to be making with these. So I've got a press for Christmas. So you've already had it, Dawn? No, the best tool you're going to have is a press. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Now, this video will stay in the group, but also it'll be on YouTube. So on YouTube, it is easier to find my videos on YouTube, and yeah, it's also supporting me on YouTube. Right, so I'm going to say goodbye and have a lovely evening and eat loads of cake. See you later. Bye.